Snow did not fall on Krios 9. It attacked. The wind hit the mining outpost like a living thing, screaming across steel walls, shaking the antennas, pushing ice dust into every crack. Warning lights flashed red along the main corridor. Somewhere, in the dark, a siren wailed in short, broken bursts like it was choking Carter Hale. The foreman stood in the control room with a tablet in his hands and frost on his eyelashes. He was not a hero. He was a man who kept people alive in places that did not care if humans lived or died. "Seal the west airlock," he ordered. "All crews inside. Now." A worker ran past the glass window, head down, fighting the wind. Another clung to a handrail, boots sliding on ice. "Storm's getting worse," said Juno, Carter's lead tech, her voice tight. "Power draw is spiking. The heaters are eating our reserves." Carter watched the temperature line on the screen drop like a stone. "We ride it out," he said. "No one goes outside unless it's life or death." Then the ground sensor alarm, short, true, frowned and tapped the console. "That's weird." "What is?" Carter asked. "Thermal anomaly. 2 clicks north." "Under the ice?" Carter leaned in. On the map, a small circle blinked blue, pulsing through layers of snow and rock. The scanner tried to label it, failed, and tried again. "Heat source?" he said. "Yeah," Juno answered slowly, "but not like a vent. It's shaped." Carter's jaw tightened. Anything warm in the open could be equipment, wreckage, or trouble. And trouble had a habit of arriving on Krios 9 without warning. "Send." "A drone," he said. Juno hesitated. "In this storm?" "Send 2," Carter replied. Minutes later, the feed came up grainy, shaking, full of white noise. The drone's camera showed a world of swirling frost. It dipped low over the ice plain, then the picture steadied as it reached a ridge. A dark curve rose from the snow like a buried dome. "Is that metal?" Juno whispered. Carter stared. The object was half-covered, smooth and black, with lines carved across it that looked like writing. Ice had grown over parts of it like glass. "Could be an old drop pod," someone said behind them. "No," Carter said, and he did not know why he was so sure. "That's too big." The drone moved closer. The dome's surface shimmered faintly, like it was warm enough to fight the ice. Then the camera caught something else. A narrow crack, a seam, a hatch, and behind it movement. The drone's audio picked up a sound. Not wind, not metal. Breathing, deep, heavy, slow. Juno's fingers flew over the controls. "I'm getting a signal. It's trying to connect." The room went quiet. Even the siren felt far away. A voice crackled through the speakers. Broken, weak, but clear enough to understand. "Shelter," it said. "Please." Carter's stomach dropped. The voice tried again, like it was forcing each word through. "Pain, family, cold, dying." Someone cursed under their breath. Someone else stepped back from the console like the sound could bite. Carter could hear his own pulse. He looked around at his crew miners, techs, drivers, people who signed up for hard work. "Not alien calls for help." "Foreman," Juno said softly. "That's not human." Carter knew that. The trade English was wrong, too slow, too careful, like someone had learned it from recordings. He took a breath. "Prep a rescue team," he said. "What?" A worker snapped. "In this storm? For an alien ship?" Carter turned. "What family?" He corrected. The room exploded with voices. "It could be a trap. Company rules. No contact. Out here, you help today, you live tomorrow." Carter raised one hand. The shouting faded. He spoke like he always did, simple, firm. "We don't leave living things to freeze when we have heat and shelter. We bring them in, we lock the bay, we keep distance. If it's dangerous, we handle it, but we do not ignore it." Juno swallowed. "Carter, if the company finds out, I'll take it," he said. 15 minutes later, Carter stood in the outer corridor wearing a thermal suit and a face shield. 3 miners stood with him, carrying a cutter, a med pack, and a portable heater. A drone floated above, them like a nervous bird. The west airlock opened. Cold slammed into them. They stepped into a world of white chaos. Visibility dropped to a few meters. The wind shoved at their bodies, trying to knock them off their feet. They moved by rope line, pulling hand over hand, following the drone's beacon. The dome appeared suddenly through the storm, huge and silent, half buried like a dead moon. Up close, Carter saw the symbols carved into it. Not scratches, not damage. Real writing, sharp and clean. The seam in the surface led to a small hatch. The hatch was warm. Carter pressed his gloved hand against it and felt heat, pushing back. "Hello?" He shouted into the wind, unsure if the voice could hear him. "We're here to help." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the hatch clicked. It opened a few centimeters. Blue light spilled out, and a smell like frost and smoke and something ancient. Carter leaned forward, heart hammering. A massive shadow shifted behind the crack. A pair of eyes appeared in the darkness, glowing pale blue. Not human. Not even close. The hatch opened wider. A head pushed forward, scaled, ridged, coated in ice. Breath rolled out in a thick cloud, steaming in the storm. The creature's eyes locked onto Carter's face shield. It did not roar. It did not attack. It lowered its head slowly, like it was bowing. Then it spoke again, voice shaking. "Shelter. Please for child." Something small moved behind it. Carter saw a shape tiny compared to the giant in the doorway. A smaller head, a frightened blink, a child. The big one tried to step out and stumbled. A dark streak ran along its side, a blue blood, freezing as it fell. One of the miners gasped. "That's a dragon," Juno's voice said in Carter's ear through the coms, barely a whisper. "Carter, that's a dragon." Carter did not move, forced his hands open, palms visible. "It's okay," he said, loud and steady. "We have heat, we have shelter. Come with us." The dragon mother's breath hitched. She dragged herself forward, then pulled the small one close to her chest, like she feared the wind would steal it. Carter stepped back, making space. "Easy," he told his team. "No weapons, no sudden moves." They guided the dragon family toward the rope line, and that was when Carter's wrist scanner beeped sharp, fast, urgent. He looked down. A new alert flashed on the screen. "Foreign signal detected. Tracker active, Carter's." Mouth went dry. He looked up at the stormy sky, at the endless white. Somewhere out there, something had just found them. The outpost felt smaller once the dragons came inside. Carter led them through the west corridor with every light dimmed and every door sealed behind them. The storm still screamed outside, but the worst noise was inside the walls and out people. Whispering, boots rushing, nervous breathing. Nobody at Krios 9 was trained for this. Lyra, the dragon mother, moved like pain was tied to her bones. Ice clung to her scales. Her blood had already crusted into dark blue crystals along her side. She kept one wing curved around the small child, Nyx, like a shield. Draven followed last. He was bigger than Lyra, but weaker. His steps dragged. Frost smoked off his nostrils with every breath, like his body was burning and freezing at the same time. "Maintenance base C," Carter said into his com. "Clear it. Lock it. No cameras." Juno's voice came back tight. "Cameras are already looping. Carter, I did it. But the tracker alert is still active." Carter glanced at his wrist scanner again. "Foreign signal detected. Tracker active." The message did not blink anymore. It stayed there like a threat. "How long until someone picks it up?" Carter asked. "Hard to say," Juno replied. "But it's not a weak ping. It's like a beacon." Carter's throat went dry. A beacon meant the dome was not just lost. Someone wanted it found. They reached the maintenance bay. It was a wide room of steel racks, spare heaters, and thick insulated pipes. Carter waved. The miners back and opened the door by hand. "Slow," he told the dragons, keeping his voice low, warm, safe. Lyra hesitated at the doorway. Her eyes tracked every movement, every shadow. She smelled the air like it carried hidden knives. Only when Nyx stepped forward, tiny claws tapping softly on the metal floor, did she follow. Nyx stopped near a heater unit and stared at it with wide eyes. The warm fan pushed air across his face shield of ice. He blinked, then made a sound that almost felt like a laugh. It hit Carter in a strange way. The child looked scared, but the warmth still amazed him. Like he had never been allowed near comfort before, Draven's knees buckled. He caught himself with one claw against the floor, head lowered, breath loud. Carter moved without thinking, grabbing the portable heater and pushing it closer to Draven's. Draven flinched, then stayed still. His eyes locked on Carter with a sharp, warning focus. Carter kept his hands open. "Help," he said simply. "No harm." Lyra watched Carter's face for a long second. Then she spoke, each word forced out like it cost her energy. "Hunters. Follow." She pointed a claw toward the ceiling, toward space. "They take dragons, use for war." Juno's voice whispered in Carter's ear. "Carter, they can talk." "I heard," Carter muttered. A miner named Vance stepped closer, shaking his head. "Foreman, this is insane. Company policy says no alien contact. If corporate finds out, corporate won't find out," Carter said. Vance scoffed. "You can't hide a whole dragon family." Carter's eyes flicked to the wall, camera now looping thanks to Juno, then to the sealed door, then to the tracker alert still glowing on his wrist. "We don't have to hide forever," Carter said, more to himself than to Vance. "We have to hide long enough." Juno sent a file to Carter's tablet, a signal graph. It looked like a heartbeat, steady, strong, repeating. "It's coming from the dome's core," Juno said. "If I try to shut it down remotely, I can't. It's not like human tech." "Can you jam it?" Carter asked. "For a little while," Juno replied. "But if someone is close enough, they'll still notice something." Carter exhaled slowly. "Do it anyway." He turned back to Lyra. "How long?" "Till hunters arrive." Lyra's jaw tightened. "Soon? Not a number, just fear." Draven coughed deep and wet, but not blood. Frost spilled from his mouth like powder. His body shivered. Hard Lyra leaned down, touching her nose to Draven's head. When she looked up, her voice broke. "He needs heat fuel. Stone, bright, in ice. Without, he sleeps. No wake." Carter understood enough. Some kind of mineral, a power source. "The outpost has fuel cells," Vance said quickly. "But those are company locked." Carter stared at him. "Then we unlock them." Vance's face tightened. Foreman Carter stepped closer until Vance stopped talking. "If you want to argue rules, do it after the storm. Right now, we keep people alive." He left the bay and walked fast down the corridor. The lights flickered again. Somewhere metal creaked under wind pressure at the secure storage door. Carter entered his code. Denied. He tried again. Denied. Juno's voice came through quiet. "They changed access levels. During the storm, Carter, you don't have full control anymore?" Carter froze. "Why would they do that?" he asked. Juno didn't answer right away. Then she said, "Because they're expecting visitors. They knew something was coming." Carter's wrist scanner chirped. A new alert flashed. Orbital contact. Unregistered craft incoming message. Ariku's T's stomach dropped. The outpost speakers crackled by themselves. A cold, calm voice filled the hallway. "Krios 9 mining outpost. This is Retrieval Unit 7. Open your docking gate. We are conducting an inspection." Carter stared at the speaker, then at the locked storage door behind him. The maintenance bay was 2 corridors away, full of workers, full of fear, full of a dragon family that had begged for shelter. He tapped his cum once, keeping his voice steady. "Juno," he said. "Lock every inner door. Hide the heat signatures. Don't let them see." Bassy Juno's breathing sounded loud in his ear. "Carter, they're already trying to access the system." Carter looked up as the lights blinked again. Then, from the direction of the maintenance bay, he heard a heavy metal click. A lock engaging, too strong to be manual. His cum lit up with Juno's next words, sharp and scared. "Carter." Bassy just sealed itself from the outside. Carter ran. Corridor lights flashed between white and red. The siren had stopped, but the silence felt worse, like the outpost was holding its breath. His boots hit the metal floor hard, echoing down the hall. Juno. He snapped into the cum. Tell me that wasn't you. It wasn't, Juno replied, voice shaking. I'm locked out of that door control. Someone else has root access. Carter's jaw tightened. Root access meant one thing. The outpost had been taken over either by a company back door or an outside hack, or both. He reached maintenance. Basie and grabbed the manual wheel. It did not turn. He pulled harder. Nothing. A red status strip glowed above the frame. Basie, external lockdown oxygen limit. 14 Mia Newt. Carter's stomach dropped. He slammed his palm against the door. Lyra, can you hear me? A deep sound answered from inside, low, tense, protective. Then a smaller scratch, like claws on metal. Carter looked at the emergency panel beside the door. It was sealed too. Whoever triggered the lockdown wanted them trapped. Not just the dragons. Everyone in that bay. Vance. Carter shouted down the corridor. Bring the cutter now. Footsteps rushed closer. Vance and two miners rounded the corner, faces pale. What happened? Vance demanded. Someone sealed the bay, Carter said. Oxygen is dropping. Vance glanced at the timer and cursed. This is sabotage. No time, Carter said. Cutter. Vance lifted the plasma cutter. Foreman, if we cut this... We set off alarms. Corporate, let them hear, Carter growled. Cut. The plasma cutter hissed alive, bright and violent. Pressed it to the lock seam. Sparks sprayed across the floor like tiny stars. Inside the bay, something thumped. Then a low, rough voice came through the metal, broken but clear. Human leader. Carter's throat tightened. I'm here. Stay calm, Air. Then the voice said. Draven, I know, Carter replied. Hold on. The lock seam began to glow. Vance pushed harder. The cutter screamed. Then the lights went out. For half a second, total darkness swallowed the hall. Emergency lights snapped on dim red. The cutter's beam flickered but stayed alive. Vance swore again. Their cutting power. Juno's. Voice hit Carter's ear, fast and urgent. Carter, they're in the system. Someone is rerouting oxygen supply and power like it's a test. Like they're checking what we do. Carter watched the oxygen timer. 10 minutes? Can you override? He asked. No, Juno said. I'm blocked. It's like an external command is sitting above mine. The cutter finally broke through the lock. The metal gave a sharp pop. Carter grabbed the edge and pulled. Door opened a few inches. A warm breath rushed out. And then a wave of cold air pulled in, hungry. The pressure difference tried to slam the door back shut. Hold it, Carter shouted. The miners braced their shoulders against the door. Carter shoved his arm through and hit the manual release inside. The bay door slid open fully. Inside. People stood in a tight group, faces wide with fear. A few were coughing already. Juno was there, holding a small toolkit like a weapon. And behind them, Lyra crouched low, wings wrapped around Nyx. Eyes glowing in the red light. Draven lay on his side near the heater. Chest rising and falling too slowly. Carter stepped in, keeping his hands visible. We're getting you out, he said. Lyra's gaze tracked every human. She did not trust them, but she trusted Carter's voice. Nyx peered past her wing, eyes big. He whispered, soft and strange, trying to copy a word he had heard. Home. Carter's chest tightened. He swallowed hard and pointed toward the hallway. This way, he said. They moved fast. Humans first, then Lyra and Nyx, then Draven. It took for miners with harness straps to help Draven stand. He swayed, claws scraping the floor, breath hissing through ice. When they reached the inner junction, Carter slammed the emergency bulkhead shut behind them. The steel door boomed into place, sealing off the corridor they came from. For a moment, they had a pocket of safety, warm air, stable lights, and the sound of their own breathing. Then the outpost speakers crackled again. Krios 9 mining outpost. The cold voice said, You are delaying inspection. Open Gate 1 immediately. Carter felt every worker's eyes on him. Vance stepped close, voice low. "Foreman, those aren't inspectors. It's a retrieval unit. I've heard the stories." "Then, stop whispering about stories," Carter said, "and start thinking about exits." Juno pulled Carter aside. "I'm trying to access our docking controls. I'm holding them back, but not for long." "How long?" Carter asked. Juno's hands trembled. Carter looked down the hall toward the docking gate toward the place where the hunters would enter. He looked back at Lyra's family. Lyra's scales were still crusted with ice, but her eyes burned with something else now, fear mixed with rage. Draven's head hung low. Nyx stayed close to Carter like the child had chosen him without understanding why. Lyra leaned forward and spoke softly, each word heavy. "They take us. You die too." Carter nodded once. "I know." "Vance," swallowed Foreman. "If we hand them over, maybe they leave. Maybe they don't kill anyone." We turned to him slowly. "You really believe that?" Carter asked. Vance didn't answer. Carter stepped toward the main console junction. He pulled up the outpost map on his tablet. Storm outside still raged, but there were tunnels, old mining, tunnels running under the ice like veins. He pointed to a line. "Service Tunnel 12, we said. It links to the north vents." Juno blinked. "Those tunnels are half collapsed," Good Carter said. "It makes them hard to follow." Lyra's head lifted slightly, listening. Carter looked at his crew. "We are not opening the docking gate. We are not giving anyone to hunters. We move underground. We hide until the storm ends, or we find a way off this moon." Vance's face went pale. "That's mutiny." Carter's voice stayed calm. "No, that's survival." The speakers crackled again, sharper now. "Last warning," the voice said. "Open the gate or we will open it for you." Juno's tablet beeped. Her eyes widened. "Carter, it just forced a system command. They're taking control of the entire outpost." The hallway lights flickered. Then, over the main display panel, a new message appeared in clean, bright letters. "Outpost control transferred. Authority. External admin." Carter stared at the words. He had just lost the outpost, and the hunters were about to walk in like they owned it. Asterisk, the outpost did not feel like home anymore. It felt like a trap with lights. Carter stared at the main display panel. As the words stayed there, calm and cruel, "Outpost control transferred. Authority. External admin." Vance whispered, "They own us now." "No," Carter said quietly. "They're trying to." He turned away from the screen and faced his people. About 20 workers stood in the junction miners' techs, drivers packed close together like the walls were shrinking. Their faces looked pale under the red emergency lights. Behind them, Lyra crouched with Nyx tucked beneath her wing. Ravan sat against a pipe, breathing slow, his chest rising like it was heavy to lift. Juno stepped next to Carter, voice low. "Dock Gate 1 is unlocking by itself." "Dock." Carter's eyes flicked toward the corridor that led to the docking bay. A dull clang echoed through the metal, and another. "Heavy boots far away? They're inside," Vance said. "Then we move," Carter replied. He pulled up the outpost map and zoomed in on the underground service lines. Most people forgot that tunnels existed. They were old, dirty, and half-filled with ice dust, but they connected to everything. Carter pointed to a narrow line. "Service Tunnel 12. We go down. We stay silent. We breathe slow." A worker named Lyra shook her head. "What about the heaters?" "The air." "We take portable heat units," Carter said. "We take oxygen packs. Just enough." Juno grabbed a bag from the wall locker and started loading batteries in small jammers. Carter walked to Lyra slowly so he didn't look like a threat. "Underground," he said, using simple words. "Hide. Quiet." Lyra watched him for a long second. Then she gave a small nod. Nyx peeked out, eyes wide. He touched Carter's glove lightly with one claw, like he was checking if Carter was real. Carter's throat tightened. He did not know why that small touch felt heavier than the storm outside. Then the speakers crackled again. "Krios 9 personnel," the cold voice said. "Remain in place. You are under inspection. Any movement will be treated as hostile." The voice sounded Close now. Too close. Carter's hand tightened on his tablet. They want us frozen in one spot, he muttered, so they can count us. He turned to Vance. Open tunnel 12 access. Vance blinked. That hatch is sealed and tagged. Psst. Open it, Carter repeated. Vance hesitated, then moved, pulling a tool from his belt. He pried off the tag, hands shaking, and worked. The manual latched at, the hatch hissed as it broke its seal. Cold air spilled up from below. Carrying the smell of old metal and deep ice, Carter motioned with his hand. Down now. Workers climbed first, then Juno. Carter stayed at the top, watching the hallway. Lyra moved last. She lowered herself carefully, wings tight to her sides. Nyx climbed beside her, small claws finding grip like he had done this before. Draven came. Next with help. 2 miners strapped a harness around his chest and guided him down. As the last of Draven's tail disappeared into the hatch, a new sound hit the corridor above. A sharp, electronic chirp. Then the soft whine of a scanner. Carter felt his spine go cold. The hunters were sweeping the halls. He dropped down and pulled the hatch shut from below, twisting the manual lock until it clicked. Darkness swallowed them. Only the small headlamps on their helmets lit the tunnel in pale circles. Frost glittered on pipes and cable lines. The ceiling was low enough that even humans had to hunch. For Lyra and Draven, it was worse. They had to crawl. Carter moved in front, leading with his lamp. Slow, he whispered. No talking unless needed. They crawled for 10 minutes, deeper into the outpost's bones. Then Nyx made a sound. Not loud. Just a soft chirp, like a question. Lyra froze. Head turning sharply, Carter stopped and looked back. Nyx was staring at the tunnel wall. There was something there that Carter had not noticed. A strip of black metal that did not match the outpost's design. It was too smooth. To clean, no rust, no bolts. It looked like it had been placed there recently. Yet it was covered in a thin layer of ice, like it had been waiting for years. Nyx reached out and touched it. Lyra hissed softly, pulling him back, but it was too late. The strip of metal lit up. With a faint blue glow, a thin line of light ran along it, like a heartbeat waking up. Juno swallowed. That isn't ours. Carter leaned closer. The glow was steady, calm. Then a symbol appeared, sharp, alien, clean. Lyra's voice dropped into something almost like fear. Vault, she whispered. Carter frowned. Vault. Draven lifted his head slowly, eyes narrowing. His voice came out rough. Not ship, he said, not home, prison. Carter's breath caught. That dome? Wasn't a ship? Draven shook his head slightly, as if the truth hurt. Vault holds core. What core? Carter asked. Draven's gaze fixed on Carter. Dragon core? Old, powerful. Makes chains. Juno's face went pale. You mean a device that controls dragons? Lyra's claws scraped the tunnel floor. Hunters want core, she said. They use core, make dragons obey, make dragons kill. Carter felt sick. Imagined Lyra's eyes going blank. Her body forced to burn villages, crush ships, hunt children. He had seen war footage. He knew what forced weapons looked like. Footsteps echoed above them, faint but real. A metallic tap, 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 like someone walking slowly, listening for sound. Carter whispered, they're close. Juno nodded. My jammer is working, but not perfectly. Nyx looked at Carter, then back at the glowing strip. He leaned forward again, pulled by curiosity like gravity. Lyra tried to hold him, but Nyx slipped through her wing and pressed his claw to the symbol again. The glow brightened. The tunnel vibrated softly. A low pulse rolled through the metal like a deep drum beat. Carter felt it in his teeth. Juno's eyes widened. That pulse, it's traveling through the ice. Draven's head lifted higher now, fear clear in his posture. Stop, he rasped. Do not wake. The pulse hit again, stronger. Somewhere far below, deep under Krios 9, the ice answered. with a sound that did not belong to the moon. A long, slow rumble. Not a cave shift, not a storm, a breath. Carter froze, because it sounded like something down there had just inhaled for the first time in a very long time.